Looks good. Welcome. The center of love is everywhere you are. It's everywhere at once, everywhere. It's even in our bathroom. If you've had the pleasure of using our facilities, you may have noticed a piece of blackboard wallpaper underneath the mirror. A few weeks ago, or maybe it was a few months ago now, our good friend Dre decided to write a message on there, and I'd like to open up with those words. He wrote, "Life is beautiful, even when it doesn't feel like it. Be grateful for it all." Amen, brother. Amen. Welcome. It's an honor, a pleasure, and a privilege to welcome you to the Center of Love, the Love Club, the Love Network, whatever you want to call it. It's beyond words, beyond concepts, but it can be felt, can't it, my friends? We can feel it right now, or at least I can. The power, the energy, it's like gravity drawing us together into orbit so that we can become a true community. Let's tap into that power together. Let's call that energy into our midst, or rather, since that energy is always in our midst, let us awaken our minds and open our hearts so that we can let it in. That's the good stuff, baby, the medicine. So whether you are high or low, full or empty, energized or exhausted, be here as you are. It's all you have to do, and everything else is going to work out beautifully. The central idea at the center of our center is the notion that all is one and that love is the power that holds it all together and, yes, keeps it going onward and onward. If that sounds weird or wild or doesn't really make sense, don't worry about it. Just try to listen with your heart. Everything is interwoven, Marcus Aurelius writes, and the web is holy. None of its parts are disconnected. They are composed harmoniously, and together they compose the entire universe. One universe made up of all things, one divine presence present in them all. I know. It's a great mystery. It's a paradox. I think we're just supposed to enjoy it. And so with that, Dre, I will turn to you for our opening song. I already saw some tears, so that's a good start to the day. What a beautiful, touching song. Thank you. Good choice, my friend. So today, we discuss the soul-enchanting power of beauty. And before I go any further, I would like to draw attention to this beautiful piece of art, kindly shared with us today by Linda. And when I told her that Ben was talking about beauty today and she was telling me about her paintings, I just thought, I think there's an intersection here. Would love to have some beauty to go with the beauty. So there it is. Thank you very much, Linda.
Mike, can I interject that? Isn't it fascinating that matched the video we just saw? The painting of.
What a coincidence.
All right, fine. It must have been planned.
It was neither, I think. It was planned by something much more powerful and higher than we are, my friend.
That's what I'm saying.
I know, man. Thank you for drawing attention to that. Okay, so today my job here is to introduce our speaker who's going to be telling us about the soul-enchanting power of beauty. And so I thought I would just tell you briefly how we became friends, this fella named Ben and I. I knew I liked Ben even before I met him. Here's how. I knew because he befriended my wife before I ever got to know him. And because our kids went to the same preschool. And one day Candace was telling him about this new friend that she made named Ben. And normally, you know, at this time in my life, her making a guy friend, a complete stranger that I don't know, would have probably triggered some feelings of jealousy and insecurity in me. But for some reason, she was telling me about Ben. I didn't feel that. I didn't feel threatened. And so I kind of knew right away that I was going to like him because I liked his energy. I liked the way he sounded just from Candace talking to me about him. And so one day we actually did meet in person, and it was at a kid's birthday party in a park, very chaotic, lots of people. So, we weren't really connecting one-on-one, but it was nice. We had some superficial talk, and I was like, oh, yeah, he's a nice guy. But towards the end of the birthday party, as people were leaving and it was getting down to just he and I, we started talking more. And then either he or I, or maybe both of us, we made a mistake. We slipped up, and the conversation went from superficial down the rabbit hole. And in the last 15 minutes of our 3 hours together, that's when I knew that this guy was something special. And I thought maybe, just maybe one day, he'll be my friend as well as Candace's friend. And since that fateful first meeting, I think you can understand that we are friends now. And I've gotten to know Ben quite well. We've gotten close. You might say we've developed a bit of a bromance even. How to describe Ben? Thoughtful, curious, right, Dre?
Oh, Jesus, yeah.
Inquisitive, compassionate. Ben is a genuine philosopher, not someone who studies philosophy, although he has studied it at the university level. He's someone who practices philosophy. And when you break it down, the word philosophy is actually made up of two root words: philos, which means love of, and sophia, which is wisdom. And so philosophy is the love of wisdom. And yes, Ben is certainly a lover of wisdom, but more than that, Ben is a lover. He loves kids. He loves his kids. He loves teaching kids, and he loves connecting with my kids and kids of all shapes and sizes and places. He loves nature. He loves connecting and getting to know people. I dare say Ben loves life. And so what he says today is sure to be profound, insightful, and touching. Ben, no pressure. You're up to the pulpit, sir.
Geez, I didn't know I was supposed to talk today. I thought that it was going to be in a couple of weeks. So I guess, unfortunately, I do have something.
Okay.
Your workout is fine. So for billions of years, I've known you as we danced across the universe and waltzed upon the earth. And now here we are at last, together, able to see what we are and where we've been. So today, let us ease into awe, peek beneath the veil, and feel the true beauty of what we are. When I was 18, I started to fall in love with the nature of things. And at that time, I made a list of my top 10 most beautiful things. It seems really adorable now, to have a list of 10 things. But there's one thing really sticks out from that time, and it's there was a birch tree that I stopped by after an ice storm, and the world looked like it was covered in glass. And in this glass world, I found myself alone, and there was no sound, no one else around. I was the only one out there. And I stood in front of this birch tree for an hour in the middle of the street, just sharing and savoring it. And what struck me is that no one else was there, and no one else was enjoying the birch tree or anything else for that matter. And I don't say that to flex and say like, "Oh, I'm so great," they all miss it. It's just that I want to share that birch tree in those moments with others and reveal what I see in the world. So let's turn the lens to you for a moment, because you are a creature most unlikely. In biological terms, there was a single egg and a single sperm that had to come together in, I think, a single moment for you to be here the way that you are. And in this sense, everything had to be just so for you to even have the chance of being here. Absolutely everything. all the way back, because if you change one thing, then you change everything. Essentially, what I'm saying is that if your grandmother had stepped on a different crack, she would have broke your mother's back. I won't have too many dad jokes. I can't believe I wrote that and then thought, yeah, I'm gonna do it. I was premeditated, folks. So if we step back though from the biology for a minute, and we see the energy from the sun, the gravity from the earth, they've been slowly sculpting you into being billions of years. And I'm not saying that it was for you, because I don't know anything about that, but it led to you. And what I see when I look at this is an elegant tapestry that has weaved us all together in and out endlessly. And if you pulled on one tiny thread, it would all unravel. And this means that you're inextricably tied to all that was and all that will be, at least here on Earth. And in other words, your presence here is a gift, both to yourself and to others. Now, I'm not the first person to think this. I can't believe I'm going to say this as well. The Buddha also happened to have a similar thought. He's a great extractor of lists. And he said in his list of 4 reflections that lead you towards the Dharma, that the first reflection is on the preciousness of human life. And we'll expound on that a little bit today. But here we are, we made it. You get to be human. And we're here together. It took 13.8 billion years for you to emerge as you are, from the Big Bang to the coalescing of stardust into our sun, and the turbulent birth of our Earth. And so there are many impressive layers to you. We have a hominid layer, from which has emerged a lot of great things, like our ability to talk about these sorts of things and act on them. We're able to evolve mimetically within the course of a single lifetime or generation or evolution. It happens through ideas, which is incredible. We have a primate layer where maybe we developed our playfulness and our need for each other, for community. We have a mammalian layer where we get things like live birth and breastfeeding and cuddling and maybe some forms of love or some iterations of it. And we've been mammals for 200 million years. We have other layers as well, reptilian, fish, and every single layer is worthy of its own talk, I'm sure. But I think also it's great to think about how it's taken 540 million years for our eyes to evolve. And so when you look at your eyes or your ears or your heart or any part of you, really, it's such an exquisite gift that this has slowly been grafted. It's like the most incredible work of art. And that's part of what I picture more and more, is just when I see the world with those eyes, everything's beautiful, except maybe the most unnecessary and extreme suffering. But that aside, well, of course, there are other layers that we share with plants, mushrooms, cells, all life, and a stardust layer built of atoms that connects us with all that is in the entire universe. And then there are all of the processes that have made and shaped us to where we are. This might be called the spirit or the God layer. That's all good if you're not comfortable with that or whatever, you can put lots of other words in there like source or miraculousness, or, I'm sure there are lots of great things to put in there. And when we unpack the beautiful, we can see how we're all connected. And in all these layers, and in all of these ways, we're the exact same process unfolding in the world. So that's how I think of the oneness that we were considering last time, is that in those things, we have the exact same process that happened, the exact same history that we're carrying around with us. Now, by leaning into beauty, we can glimpse, even if only momentarily, the miraculous in each of us. It allows us to see the goddess and the god in each other. And I've found that when you come to see that in everyone, you in turn see it in yourself. Because you can't be the only one, right? Like if you can see it in everybody else, then it's there. The same beauty is there, the same miraculousness, the same fingerprints of the goddess. And this understanding helps, I think, to love others and ourselves more truly. Now, when I take the time to bask in the grandeur of what you are and contemplate the depths of your beauty, like the great poet Wordsworth, I see the breath of this corporeal frame and even the motion of our human blood are almost suspended. We are laid asleep, embodied, and become a living soul, but with an eye made quiet by the power of harmony and the deep power of joy, we see into the life of things. Or as the Buddha called it, the Dharma. Thank you for joining me on this walk through the Dharma.
How was the conversation in the back of the room? It sounded lively. I liked it. Cosmic, excellent. Anything else? Wow. Anyways, I don't know about you guys, but our conversation, if this was a handheld mic, I would just drop it. That's how good it was. Okay? It was energizing. It was inspiring. Hard to believe, but I guess we better believe it because it just happened, right? Might as well light up a cigarette. Was it good for you? It was good for me. My friends, what we have here is magical. I am humbled and grateful to be a part of it with all of you. It's amazing. Thank you for your presence, which is the greatest gift you can give. And if you feel so called and you are able, and you'd like to translate some of this presence into financial currency to contribute, we would be most grateful. We don't have a lot of expenses, some chairs to pay off and whatnot, nothing too crazy, but as always, what you give to this community, you also receive. So thank you very much. Ultimately, the greatest contribution to the center is your presence. So thank you for being here. Awesome. Okay, parting words. I love closing the circle because there's symmetry there, right? And we started with Dre's words in the bathroom on gratitude. And I started with a Marcus Aurelius quote. Marcus Aurelius, the great Roman emperor and philosopher, who wrote in his journal when he was on the battlefield or governing his empire. And what he wrote was never meant for us. It was meant for himself. He wrote himself reminders. So when you read the meditations, you're actually reading the private journal of one of the world's wisest and most powerful people at the time. So it's very fascinating. And here's one of the things that he coaches himself to do in his journal. He says, when you wake up in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, and to love. To that one, I can only say thank you and have a great day. And we are going to